Hey everyone. Let me just give it like one more minute. All right, we can probably go ahead and get started. Um, we want to start with our SDK updates. Did JS want to go first? Am I on mute? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Oh,
we can
okay.
hear you.
Gotcha. Uh, Venlin, did you want to give the JS update? No, he might be AFK for a second. Maybe we start with Java then.
I will message him. Maybe there's something wrong with him. But yeah, for Java, we actually the Java lead was off last week, so we don't have much updates there. But personally, for Go, we managed to close some TCK issues, mostly with some skipped tests. And yeah, I think for JS, I'm not quite sure, as we probably need to wait for Vanillin, but they did some reviews in the collaboration hub for the block node discoverability hub. Um, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I know Evilo was looking at implementing like a crypto create load test for Solo, so we can use that to test 1313. Do we know how that's going for him? Because we might look to expand on that um, for other transactions.
He said that there was some issues with Solo I believe, yeah, last week, and he wasn't able to set it up properly. He had some blockers because of that, but I think this issue was fixed either on the weekend or Friday. Um, so yeah, I will ping him once more, probably tomorrow, to see if there's so many updates on that.
Okay, sounds good. Do you have you been able to kind of get a sense from him of how like I guess the problems aside, how I guess easy or difficult it's been to do to like make those tests? Because again, if we want to expand on that, we probably don't. We'll probably want to find some other way to do our 1313 testing if it ends up being a lot of work.
Um, Actually, are these tests are the tests for 1313 the same as these performance tests? Because we discussed today on the daily that there are issues on OSDKs, I believe, for that. So do we need to do it for OSDKs, or it was some communication only for the JavaScript? Because maybe I missed some of that communication and I'm a bit confused.
Well, I think my understanding of this, and Keith, you can jump in if I'm off, is that I think we only need to do this for one SDK because it's not really testing the SDK itself. It's more so testing that the consensus node pricing curve is being applied properly.
So this is not going into the integration tests. So it's a manual test, something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because as far as I remember, we discussed for 1313 to let this config because we in order to test that we need to do some configurations, right? On the consensus node, that would be the easiest way, just to make the throttles lower than they actually are in order to avoid some flakiness. And yeah, I think some members of the team were a bit confused and they thought that we are doing this in the CI. So yeah, maybe we need to clarify that with them.
Okay, yeah, as far as I understand, we don't plan on doing this in CI. It's just going to be a one-off end-to-end test. Um, yeah.
So if I can interject, we spent a lot of time talking about this one. I think in the HIP 1313 channel, I think we just need an official end-to-end test plan, and I've asked Ty to work on that. I mean, at this stage, there should not be this much churn on this because, yeah, we've talked about it a lot. So we maybe just need to write it down so there's no confusion. Yeah, we never talked about a CI pipeline. We never it's just a one-off test to test let's say crypto create at different TPS to make sure that the consensus node is behaving properly. That's all we ever talked about.
Yeah, I think we landed on crypto create initially because like the pricing curves, like there were like a lot of different low TPS, I guess, points. Like I think there was like the price changes at like 2 TPS, 3, 5, 10, like all the way up to like 10,000. And
Uh,
then we picked that
no,
because it's like easy to like.
it's like that for all. It's like that for all the transactions. That's nothing unique about crypto. We just chose a random transaction. They all act the same way.
Well, yeah, they all act the same way, but I'm saying like the crypto crate had like the lowest TPS curve points, which we I thought that was part of the decision why we chose that one, just because it would be easier. We would have to churn as much TPS.
Yeah, I don't think that's. I mean, the bigger reason is because we actually are doing HIP 1313 mostly for crypto create. So, but yeah, I mean, again, this is a fairly simple, like we just whether it's manual or whether we use the Solo framework, I don't want that to be now. I did do some AI analysis on Solo. It is very easy to add crypto create to that Solo test framework. I mean, I can do it probably today if I wanted to. So that can't be the blocker. So yeah, if there's confusion, let's rectify the confusion. But yeah, let's just figure this one out.
Well, I think Vanko just said Ivilo was running into problems with that,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the actual issue in solo.
Oh, he couldn't, the soul couldn't be, some of the registries were not working for some reason. It couldn't download some of the dependencies. There were issues in the CI as well last week. Might be the same issue.
Hmm. Yeah, so I mean maybe
Some of
maybe
the runners were just hanging for an hour, maybe 2 hours, and then the whole flow stops after that because it couldn't download that one dependency and the soul couldn't start pretty much.
Yeah, but that again, that I don't understand because why is he running? I mean, I just run solo on my local computer. I just change the add the file on my local computer and I run it on my local. Like, what does runners have to do with this?
I'm just saying that the issue might be the same as in the runners that we were observing in the runners. I'm not saying
Oh,
that.
oh, okay, okay, yeah, fair enough.
yeah, like the I think the issue we've been seeing have been like Helm chart, like download issues. It just like hangs for hours on end. Um,
Yeah, I don't know if you guys had similar issues because with some of the logs, it said that there's some EU, there might be some EU specific registries or something like that. So I'm not sure if you've seen that issue because I haven't seen anyone complain about it in the channels.
Well, can I ask, did anyone report the issue?
I think for today we were not experiencing it because I've had some dependable PRs that were passing, so I think it's fixed now.
Okay, I mean, I think I made this request last week, but I'll make it again this week. If you run into any problems with Solo at any time, please report it immediately. Like, don't wait for them to resolve ourselves. We need to be reporting on issues on Solo as they happen.
Okay.
Keith, just a question here, because how should people from the Python SDK, for example, do it? Do we have a channel for that, or do you mean they should then report it like in this meeting?
Yeah,
Because they do not have a channel for that, you know?
Sorry, for Solo?
Yeah, like you said, like if something like that happens, it should be directly reported. And my understanding was
In
like reported to you
Yeah.
kind of thing, right?
No,
So,
no. In the Solo GitHub issues.
okay, reporting is like create an issue for it. Okay, understood. Thank you.
I was playing around with Solo this weekend actually. I noticed like the README didn't work for me. I don't know if anyone else has had that problem. I had to go through a whole bunch of
Yeah.
different ways.
Well, the README is very basic, Sophia. If you look at the README though, there is the more comprehensive docs. It's linked in the README to solo.hiero.org docs. So if you go into the docs, you should see a more comprehensive startup.
Yeah, I think I went on those too. It's like the commands were just different and stuff than what was documented. But
What kind of computer do you have, Sophie?
no, I don't think it was specific to my computer. I blew up my computer. I had to create like a server and Kubernetes thing to run it because I don't have enough. I don't have enough RAM or CPU or anything. Yeah, so I don't think that was the issue. It was more like just like the commands were just different.
Okay, that's weird. Yeah. So again, Sophie, if you've run into any issues and you're having problems, please report it at even if they seem maybe, we want to hear all issues that all users experience, including yourself. So if you're having problems, please just write up an issue on this Solo GitHub. We really appreciate it.
I also wanted to share just an update. Unfortunately, Solo still is not working. I have Windows 10. I am working with the roadmate on this. So that is an ongoing thing. I just wanted to share the latest news with that.
Is something happening in that area, like Windows support, or is it, Keith, maybe you know, like what is our goal and state here?
Well, the current requirement to run on Windows is actually you have to run it in WSL2
Yeah,
on
okay.
Ubuntu. On Ubuntu. So there is no, so that right now there's tickets to work on more, so you can run Solo out of PowerShell, but that does not WSL2 in PowerShell, but that doesn't exist yet. So right now you have to run it basically on a Linux distribution on your Windows computer.
But I think that should in theory work then with every Windows 10 and up, right? And
Well,
not in the Windows world,
it's
right, for me?
yeah, it's not fun to set up because in your Docker, you have to be running Docker desktop on your Windows, but then you have to kind of configure your Windows desktop to talk to Ubuntu. So I'm not going to say it's fun or easy. I mean, I have a Windows computer. It runs on my Windows computer, but it's not easy.
Okay.
Are there at least like instructions in the Solo README or in the docs for setting up on Windows?
There is, yeah.
Okay. So Angie, so it's if there are instructions and it sounds like it does work on Windows, is it like a separate problem you're having, or I guess do you? I think you were working with Jeremy for a bit, right? Um, are you still having like the same issues, or?
Yeah, it's still the same issue. I haven't heard anything back from Jerome yet. As far as I understand, the last thing he said to me was that he was going to try to kind of remove this in a way. It was something he has tried to work on, but I have not had any updates from him, so I'm not sure if that was able to come to fruition or if that got blocked by something else. He told me he has added some logic into Solo. He did try to do it on WSL, and he noticed that when doing it there, that there are error messages and port forwarding call fails. That is the part of the issue that I'm working on for C++. That is the reason why there is still no PR for that one, unfortunately. But as of right now, the only thing that I understand from him is that he is still working on the correction. He just does not have any new info to share yet.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of problems around port four. I mean, my recommendation, Angie, if you want to get it running, use. I mean, at least for me, I used AI. Basically, you had to reconfigure the ports to available ports on Windows. So I don't want this to turn into a solo call, but I think yeah, we know there's a lot of issues around this. Please raise tickets for it, and then let's we can prioritize. But we are working on to improve Windows support. We are working to improve the documentation. Sophie, I'd like to more understand more of the issue you're experiencing because if anything, it should work okay on a Mac. So if you're having problems on a Mac, then that's problematic. So
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't really write anything down. I was just going through it like like crazy just to get it done. But yeah, I think I mean, I could maybe repeat my steps at least.
Yeah, I know Jeremy was at an offsite last week too, so maybe that's why he wasn't maybe getting back to you or hasn't really made much progress on that. But as far as I understand, they're back this week, so yeah, maybe that can hopefully move forward for you guys. Okay. Yeah, so I guess going back to 1313, so I think in general, um, we're still looking to see what we can do in solo, but we're also going to wait to hear from Ty about exactly what the end-to-end test plan is going to be. I think we're at least working in the right direction. But as for what exactly it's going to be and what transactions we're running, we're still waiting to hear from that.
By the way, I have worked on the new tests. Maybe I will show them to you in the planning tomorrow. Or no, is it the planning? Is it just the data? I'm not sure. Yeah, I will talk with the team about the new tests about the crypto create. I have added the new tests, and so this is
Okay.
about 1313.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds good. Sorry, were you maybe looking to show now, or is it not ready now?
I'm not sure because I was in a paid time of like last weekend.
Okay.
I want to basically uh, remember what was working, what wasn't, and I will check where I was with this. But I see that I've done some work and the test I think pass. But yeah, I want to do this maybe tomorrow because I'm not sure if it works properly.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay, so I think the was that it for JS, or do we get to JS update yet?
For JS, I think Veneren was working on some of the transactions not working in browser and taking too much time. and he did some kind of parallelization for them. And what else? I was working on a bot. It's a Swag bot that basically internally messages us every time there is a new update on PRs. We're also working on 13.13 because I implemented the integration test, but the tags that we were using, they, for some reason, I don't know why, in the channels it was saying that this new heap is enabled on preview it, but if we run it with so, it didn't work because one of the flags was disabled. So we had to do some internal debugging. I had to enable the flag, then we had to build the consensus node, pass it to so, and run the tests. But yeah, this integration tests work. I also worked on the soul test, like I said, and I think that's pretty much from last week. But yeah, I might be off about some things because I was off for 3 days. Yeah, that's from JS.
There were also a whole bunch of new starters in the JavaScript SDK. I was tidying up some of it because we are getting some chaos with the good first issues. So we have over the last 2 or 3 days started to get open claw bots. And if something is wrong, you can literally see like their soul.md trying to reconfigure itself. So that is something to just kind of take note of. I don't think the beginner issues or anything above that are kind of impacted generally because like we we usually require a good first issue, and a good first issue requires GPG key signing. So what we find is these bots might be able to get assigned, but they generally can't figure out the merge process unless a human steps in. So the beginner issues and stuff are usually fine, but we are getting quite a fair amount of bots for good first issues, which is why I've had to like close lots of pull requests. I just have like a short explanation saying like it's not signed or you're not assigned or whatever. But I'm not being patient like I normally am. Like, please get assigned if I can just see like this is a newly created bot. So we have just that to think about. I think one of the issues is that GitHub is not yet checking for bot status. So GitHub is currently marketing good first issues as normal to everyone. And so you can configure like a bot to just find newly open good first issues. So I think we could maybe like relabel good first issues as skill good first issues. I think, Rob, you've been kind of protected from this. It's not a big problem at the moment, but it just means you just have to kind of close things, and you just need someone there to be aware of it. We could go purely manual assignment as well, but as we have noticed, even in the JavaScript SDK, which has manual assignment, we still we are not consistent enough to identify bots and stuff. So yeah, there's just something to just monitor. Maybe next time we can talk about it. So similar issue with the Python SDK and stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting. 'Cause it's like I feel like we do want to keep GitHub marketing if we can. Um, but yeah, there's got to be some way that we can think of to hopefully uh, kind of cut down on the number of bots taking all the good first issues. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think Sophie, you mentioned a couple ideas. Having like please respond with this emoji so we can confirm you're not a bot or something like that. That might just be something we have to play around with or just kind of keep brainstorming on. Um,
Yeah, I think most of the contributors are some kind of bot because all of them do the same thing, that so they enter the PR and they comment dash assign in the comments, and every time they ask us, hey, can you assign me? Every time it's different member but same comment, Please assign me because the PR doesn't pass because of the CI, but this has nothing to do with being assigned to the PR. And I feel like it's always the the same person with the same AI bot.
Yeah, I think it's around 50%. Around 50%. We are still getting some like some good people there as well. But yeah, it is actually quite high, and that's new over the last 2-3 days. I have to get traveling. I was just gonna propose making this meeting like 30 minutes. I know it's a very productive meeting, but I think also some of our conversations are not super urgent. And then by making the meeting shorter, we can make it more accessible to other maintainers. And in terms of all the Hiero meetings, it's like 10 hours of meetings or something like a week. So I just wanted to propose that, but I have to switch devices and get going.
Yeah. By the way, while Kit is here, Kit, can I please ask you to? I will send you a PR. It's an old PR that I want to merge. It's one of your PRs. I will send you. Just because you're here and I can use it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like a small favor, let's say. This one. I will send it to you in personal message.
Okay, thank you. I'll look at it today.
Yeah, please. Yeah. It's one comment that I have added to your PR, and if you can work on it, then I can merge it and you can close it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Actually, kind of staying on the bot topic real quick and just going into C++ updates too. I merged something this past week that basically kind of acts as like a PR like dashboard. I actually haven't looked at this yet, so let's see if it actually works. Okay, yeah. So we basically have all these different checks, right, for PRs, DCO, GPG, all these things here. And as the committer or contributor continues to push and make changes, this dashboard comment will automatically update, and it won't, flood the PR with different comments from bots. Um, it's very like modular, so it's like we have 4 different checks. There's 4 different lines here. We can add more to this if there's more checks we want. But I kind of like this just because it acts as just one place where you can see the status real quick and make sure it's all good. And then if these actually, let me see if I can find one that
I really like that. You can also point to the docs as well.
yeah, exactly. Let's see if I think this might have been, is this the PR? Sorry, I'm like looking for one where it like wasn't right. Basically, yeah. So like any of those checks that fail, exactly that. So if it goes ahead and points to the docs and, sorry, I guess there's not any. Oh, maybe a dependabot one will be off. Nope. All right, I can't find one. But yeah, it basically just points to the docs and that obviously that's not a green check mark. It'll be an X and. It also updates the status labels manually. So if any of these are off, this just converts to a needs revision label. So if you're a maintainer just looking through like your PR list, and you can immediately see, any of these are like needs review. That's like, okay, you can actually review it. Or if it needs revision, then at that point it's like, okay, they're still working on stuff. Actually, maybe this one. Okay. So here's an example. DCO failed. Actually, this ended up being a bug. It was like looking for DCO sign off on merge commits. But anyways, these are what the checks look like, and then it adds the correct label. But Yeah, so maybe that's something that could help with the bots if they're opening PRs and not having issues linked or anything, or yeah, if they're um, yeah still commenting assigned, but they still haven't like been assigned, they still open a PR, then that label will be there to at least show you it's like okay, like they still need to work on it. And then that combined with like if you want to do like a um, I don't know, like an inactivity bot or something. If PR has like a needs revision label for like 2 days, and it's like, okay, well, you can go ahead and like close that or something. So that might be
So
like an automated way to do it, but yeah,
I think
just
that's great, but it's important to clarify the bots that we've got in the last 2 3 days. They can't get through the GPG key signing. Like they're not humans, and they won't respond to the feedback. They'll just try and change their sol.md and fail.
mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that ends up being, I guess, a solution that kind of fixes itself, right? So it's like if the bot can't figure out the GPG key, then it's not a good PR, and you're just not gonna review it or merge it anyways. So, I mean, it will clutter up the PR backlog, but I think if you like properly like use the labels, um, that'll make it easier for maintainers to review.
Yeah, I mean that's what we found. Like once we unassign people, then we end up with like 5 pull requests that have been closed on a good first issue. And a lot of people, when they see a comment and a pull request from the outside of the issue, they just don't try and they think it's already being worked on. Like I think it's more normal for repositories to not wait for assignment. It's just our thing. So like from a lot of people's perspectives, those issues are taken. So you kind of have to like close them down. And I started to add like the issue is unassigned label, so to just make it clearer that it's actually not assigned. Look, there's no assignee and there's this label. But yeah, that's the other issue.
Hmm. Yeah, I really think yeah if we can find like a good label set and automate applying labels, that can make it maybe not super easy, but at least easier for us to kind of sift through the um, all the bot stuff. Um, but yeah, but yeah, I think we can continue to work on that, iterate on it, and hopefully come up with a good solution. Um, yeah, that's was pretty much it for C++. Um, we have a new junior committer joining our ranks. Hopefully, I think the PR for that should go through either today or tomorrow. So yeah, that's Edit Yarya here. So he'll be joining us. Happy to have him. But yeah, that's pretty much it for C++. And then Swift doesn't really have any updates. I think we got a couple new starters or people that submitted PRs here. Um, but yeah, I haven't been able to look through them yet. So um, yeah, so that's that. Did Python want to give any more in-depth update?
Yeah, we thanks to Rob presented in our community call, and he explained to us the TCK test because we already integrated the TCK server, but we lacked like the tests. So he explained how they work, how you create them. So we've just started up an issue, and we've got a couple of people assigned to them. Rob also created a HIP description for us, which is one of our few HIP descriptions. So hopefully we're able to get started on that as well. Keeping the issue list very trim and the pull requests very trim because I do not have more availability, and I feel like we've reached like a good state where we have quite a fair amount of contributors now. So I don't need to push aggressively on like the good first issue front anymore. So that's kind of it.
Awesome. Yeah, good to hear. All right. I guess actually, So now I want to start going through Collaboration Hub PRs, but I know Hendrik, you've been wanting to talk about this for a couple meetings now. Do we just want to skip over this temporarily and just go right into this? Is Hendrik still here? Okay, he is. Yeah,
I'm here, yeah, I'm just unmuted.
Okay.
So skip over that, over what?
Over the collaboration PRs, we can come back to this. I was proposing we can come back to this after you do your presentation here, because I know you've been wanting to
Um,
talk about this for a
yeah,
couple weeks now.
yeah. So I think one thing we should bring in is the documentation of V3. So maybe give me a second, maybe I share and then
Talking about this.
it's this one, yeah, exactly. What we did is based especially on your feedback keys. Was it here last week or 2 weeks ago or in another meeting where we talked about SDK V3, the current direction we are going, what makes sense, what maybe makes no sense. And so I took that as a good point to say like, yeah, let's really write it down, right? So and we created now this in the V3 sandbox a more clear, hopefully, README that gives an overview. Oh yeah, can you share that, Rob? That would be great. Thank you. That gives an overview on why we do it, and the vision that we have for V3 and all that. So and this gives now like the next one, the approach gives an overview why we use that approach and so on and so on. So I'm happy to discuss that. I think keys. Maybe you can have a look at that one. Maybe it creates some clarification for you, and maybe gives us a good base for further discussions. So yeah, please have a look at it, and not only keys, right? So I'm happy to hear feedback from all of you. It was just the discussion we had with keys that showed me, yeah, it's like it's in my mind and in Rob's mind, but we never wrote it down. So we wrote it down now, the ideas that we have with we not the like API ideas, but the general how we want to work, in what direction it should go, and so on. So that is something I would really like to mention. And yeah, with that, we can discuss the third topic, which is about SDK maintainers, code owners, and so on. So what maybe coming back to why we have that here on the list. So there was a suggestion, or there was a suggestion that we merge the mentorship containing maintainers and committers of all SDKs together, which means you are not then a committer of the Python SDK or a committer of the Rust SDK. You are a committer of our SDKs with doing that move, because then we would have one group of maintainers for our SDKs and one group of committers for our SDKs. The benefit of doing that is, I think, huge, or there are several benefits. So we don't want to have the SDKs being silos, right? That's why we already created this SDK collaboration hub. And I believe with what currently happens in the SDK collaboration hub, like the proposals on how to implement hits and all that, shows that the SDK is working more and more together, which I think is really great. And so thinking about the SDK collaboration hub, who's the maintainer or committer of that? From my point of view, every maintainer from any SDK should be a maintainer, and any committer from any SDK should be a committer, right? So, which shows us that maybe it's wrong to look at SDKs individually, but look like, hey, those are our base SDKs, however we want to call it, then the group, and have this as one group of people, more or less exactly the group of people coming here to this meeting. And why, from an organization point, that makes totally sense, and I think to get the SDKs work more together and all that, it makes totally sense. There's one point that we need to discuss, which is like, okay, if I'm Hendrik, now a maintainer of all the SDKs, and try to move topics forward, this do not mean that I'm a rock star in Rust, Java, JavaScript, Python, C++, Swift, Go, whatever, right? And this does not mean that I must be the person reviewing all Rust PRs. I have absolutely no idea about Rust, so I would be definitely the wrong person. I could have a look at it regarding does the naming looks good? Does it look like, oh yeah, all those classes that are part of a proposal are implemented? But I for sure cannot have a look at it with, is this using Rust best practices? So why we will have maintainers and committers then all together in a group means, in theory, saying first of all, in theory, you as a maintainer or committer of the SDKs can commit in any SDK, right? And you can review in any SDK a pull request and it will be green. And we want to have high quality in all the SDKs, not only from HIPs are implemented, but from HIPs are implemented in the best way for that language. Which means we need people that really have an idea about the language. And this is where code owners now comes into play. So if we say we have maintainers and committers, which are cross SDK, then we can use the code owners file of an SDK and say, yeah, okay, that's great. But everything that is here in this source folder must be reviewed by person A, B, or C. Everybody else can review it, for sure, but one of those persons needs to review it, otherwise the PR is not approved and cannot be merged. With that, we can go into a direction where we can say we all are members of the SDK group, being maintainers, committers, junior committers, whatever. But when it comes to specific technical deep knowledge, we have the code owners file that says, hey, those are the people that are needed for a review for changes here. And my gut feeling is the README, documentation, whatever, everybody can do that. That is great. The source for even tests, I think I would not be restrictive on tests. The source folder that contains the real source of the SDK, that should be part of the code owners file where we define, I don't know, in best case, like 5 people. And those are the people that need to approve PRs if they change code that is used in production when using the SDKs. And with that workflow, I believe we have a very good base for our SDKs to work together and be one group. That is in general the pitch I would like to share here.
So I guess a question I have about this is,
Sure.
so it will basically still kind of work the same way it works now, right? It's like we have our maintainers of all our SDKs. I'd imagine those would be the ones still in the code owners file that need to review PRs. The benefit I could see with this is new contributors getting more experience, not necessarily in just the SDK that they start with, but in all of them. Like it makes it easier for that. Is that kind of the main benefit you're thinking of with this? Because does it help maintainers
Yeah,
really?
I think so. So I can give you a concrete example. So we have one person that is now a maintainer of the Python SDK, who's Manish. And Manish came to Hiero through Hiero Enterprise Java, which is a Java project, it's already in the name, and then joined based on Sophie's very good work the Python SDK because there were so many good first issues, so many things. So in theory, he's a Java developer, and in theory, he has way more knowledge in Java than in Python, for example. But he worked now so much on the Python SDK and learned Python as a language that he has become, I think, this month or some weeks ago, a maintainer of the Python SDK. And um, he could now, as a maintainer of the Python SDK, without having big votes and whatever, maybe in the future add it to the code owner's file of the Java SDK because he has so much Java knowledge to be one of the person who can review um, Java PRs because he knows the stuff about SDKs coming from Python and he knows the stuff about Java because that is his regular work. So you will create, like bridges between those SDKs and hopefully have more people working on multiple SDKs. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think like one of my concerns would be like, for example, so I think someone posted in the Discord a couple weeks ago, or maybe last week, about developing an SDK in C sharp
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
potentially wanted to have that join as, as a project under Hiero.
Mhm.
Um, I don't, so obviously like if he were to join, like he would be a maintainer of that
Mhm.
project. I don't know how
Yeah.
comfortable I would be giving him maintainer privileges across all our SDKs.
Yeah.
So even like outside the code, like uh, you could go in, like change labels, do stuff with issues. Like
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. I understand what you mean. So
yeah,
I'm just chatting link. Can you click on that link? So this is an organization, a GitHub organization, Hiro Hackers, that has been started, I don't know, some weeks, maybe 2 weeks ago, with the idea to be interesting. You have a you have a black GitHub view, so some parts of the image who are black is not shown very good. So the idea of this one is to become a kind of incubator for Hiero. And my wish is to get the person working on a C sharp SDK to move that into this org. We already have projects here in that org. There's, for example, a JavaScript, React, and Next.js integration of the JavaScript SDK, which is a repo in this org. And the idea is to talk with those people, learn about it, and when we think, oh yeah, that is really solid, and is something we would like to have in the Hiro Ledger org, we can discuss that and move it over to Hiro Ledger. So things like the C Sharp SDK, I would assume would live here first before we integrate it into Hiro Ledger. And at the moment we integrate it into Hiro Ledger, we should know those people and trust them in a way that we say, yeah, they will not come and destroy all our labels.
yeah. I didn't even know about this.
Yeah, that was something Sophie and I created, started, and first of all looked how it works out. And so there's currently this Hedera Hello World Apex hackathon happening. And people came to me and said, hey, I would like to contribute, but I don't know where to put the code. So that was like where I had like, yeah, let's maybe create something. That is even why it's called Hackers in the name. Because it's for people who wants to start something on an hackathon too. And another point why it's hackers in the name is if we call it incubator or whatever, the LFDT says, hey, we have an incubator here. Why don't you use our incubator? But getting something into the LFDT incubator means the LFDT tech need to vote on it and so on and so on and so on. And this is create an issue, and Sophie or I, we are currently both the admins of that org, will create a repo here and give you admin rights to it. So this is like, like we in this org, we don't care about workflows, best practices. This is like, let's try something out, move fast forward. And if we see something is good and working good and has a good community, good people who take care about it, we can think about moving that to Hiero. And my hope is, Rob, that a workflow like that would negate the points you just mentioned.
Yeah, I think they would. Yeah, if we were able to get a glimpse of kind of, yeah, let's have some way to build that trust, before we do that, or before we like, bring them onto the official Hiero project, I think, yeah, that would alleviate my concerns.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. And I would like, that is like, once we have that and we see that works, my wish would even be to have an Hiero incubator. Like where, we have something in the hackers that is great. Let's move it to the Hiero incubator to do all the workflows, actions, whatever correctly. And if that is done, we can move it to Hiero. That will be a kind of discussion with LF. But I'm happy to do that once we see that this one is working here in general. That's the idea.
Yeah, I like this. Yeah, and going back to what we're talking about with like the code owners and stuff too, like being able to kind of interact with the other repos easier would be nice. And yeah, I think like again, like the main concern here for me was just trust, but
I agree.
Having this like would be is a solution. So
I would say we need to get people to the level of like Angie, Sophie, or Manish, where I hope you say, oh yeah, I trust those people. And once at that level, sure, let's bring it to Hiero, right?
Right.
That is the idea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like it initially. I'll kind of keep thinking about it more and
Sure.
form thoughts. Maybe we can have like a follow up to this next week. Were there any other thoughts from anyone on this?
I missed maybe a lot of the conversation, but I like the idea. If you wanted to be on the more secure side, maybe it would be just the maintainers. Right now, the way the committers are structured is 3 to 6 months of experience, which is good, but cross SDK experience might take a little bit longer. I think it would be fine, but if you wanted to be more secure, you could make it just for the maintainers, or you could make the junior committer role like longer or something like that. So
yeah.
I've missed the whole comment.
No. Actually, you kind of touched on something that I was thinking about too. If we were to kind of go this route, and just continue to get new contributors just coming to our SDKs, I was thinking maybe I'd want to make that a little bit longer too. maybe, yeah, I think, we said 3 to 6 months for committers, maybe, you know, keep that like a minimum, like 4 or 5. And yeah, I guess I wouldn't necessarily know if I want committers to be cross SDK. I'd still need to think about it a little bit more and kind of think through the different use cases there. Um, but I think maintainer level, if someone's like, gonna become a maintainer, like it's obviously they care about the project, they care about Hiero. It's
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, um, there shouldn't be any worry here about um, doing anything else in other repositories. So okay. Um, yeah, let's I'll put this on the agenda for next week too as like a follow up. Let's let people kind of form their thoughts and opinions, and yeah, we can kind of have a more in-depth discussion about it next week.
Can we add, it doesn't have to be next week, but could we add like a discussion for shortening the meeting?
Yeah, sure.
I assume for this meeting it will be hard because, I mean, was there something in this meeting today where we would say, oh, we don't want to have that? And we have not even discussed about new hips, about the pull requests regarding new hips we have on the SDK hub. So as much as I like to short meeting, I believe for this one it will be hard. But yeah.
Yeah, I also agree. But yeah, I mean, we can still have a discussion about it. See what other opinions there are. Okay. We got 2 minutes left here. The only new PR in the SDK hub here was what I put up. This was just an idea for a kind of a restructuring of the class hierarchy for V3. I think kind of something that we don't really necessarily have a problem with it now, but going forward, especially when we get like block nodes integrated, and potentially if we want to add more mirror node REST API queries, I think this will kind of set the foundation better than what we currently have now. So yeah, maybe I can go over this a little bit more since we're out of time next week. But yeah, if people want to take a look through this and yeah, obviously like open to ideas and thoughts, and I think I still want to go through this and clean it up a little bit too. But the basic ideas are here, and yeah, just open to thoughts and ideas here.
Oh no, I need to leave too. So
Yeah.
I already looked at it. I have not done a review because I've just finished the review of the block node hip.
Mm-hmm.
That one will be my next where I look at. So one point I can always tell you is you added protected methods. I assume since we define public APIs, we should not support protected methods because that would, from my point of view, already go into implementation details kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think I only really define them just to maybe just give a little more context as to how it works underneath the hood. Um, Especially like the with retry loop, like
Yeah.
I think was necessary just to provide the explanation. That's why I kind of threw it in the SPI markdown here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And
yeah, I agree.
yeah, and my point of view is we should not have it in the meta language and then go and if we come to that such a point, I mean, what you have is a Swiss retry that is not part of the public API, right? Nobody from the outside can use it,
Mhm.
which means it either is an implementation detail, which every SDK could do however they want to, or if we say, hey, it would be best practices to do this or that, we should have it as a written text in this file, but in this code block that shows, hey, this is the spec, however you want to call it, the API spec or API definition. I think we should not have protected there.
Mhm. Yeah, I mostly just added it for context and just
Yeah.
to kind of fully explain like my thinking. I agree with you though. This should mostly be reserved for public API. Um, and yeah, yeah, maybe I won't add it like this, but maybe just I think I had like a pseudocode thing here at the bottom. Yeah, so just kind of leave something like this.
Yeah,
Uh,
that is where I think it is good, right? To have an
yeah,
example or whatever. In that we can do whatever we want, right?
right.
And yeah, that is having it here totally fine. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then you can add here like, oh yeah, if this would have a protected with retry, we could do it like that. That is, I think, what would make sense, but not have it in the official API block, you know?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah, so I'll
But
keep an eye on
I
it.
will review that next. So yeah, I like the abstraction and interface, right? We already discussed about it. I know there was a point where I have not done it. I don't know anymore which one. I need to really come back to that. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I'm still
if
open to just leaving one. Like, you know, I get
yeah,
what you're saying about implementation details.
if there is no blocker, I would go all in into that. I know there was for me a blocker not doing that, but I don't know what that was anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, the main thing like I wanted with this was just to make it clear because like, you know, we get into where are we here? It's like something like this. Like when you define transaction, you're extending from three different things
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like just want to make sure it's like, all right, like we're not there's no diamond inheritance here or anything. Like, you know, these I wanted to like differentiate out what's in the class hierarchy and what's like yeah, just like a more interface like um, implementation. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I think that's where getting reviews from other maintainers in different languages will benefit this. So you can see what works in what languages and what doesn't. Yep.
Cool.
All right. Oh, we're at the end here. So yeah, just real quick. So block node is uh, pretty important. So we want to get this going as soon as possible. So I'll be messaging the other maintainers to get this looked at. Um, but then I think most everything else has been here for a bit. So
Have a look at my comments, and I'm more than happy to do a meeting with you, Rob, about my comments and things like for the block node tip.
okay,
Because I review that and I have some comments, questions. So yeah.
great.
Good. I need to
Sounds good.
leave. See you all.
All right. Yep.
Bye.
We'll go ahead and call it here. Thanks, everyone. Bye.